Every moment with you feels like magic, like I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. I can't help but wonder how everything in my life led me to you. So here's the thing. The night of our wedding was everything I imagined and more, but not in the way I thought it would be. It wasn't about the grand ceremony or the perfect first kiss. It was about the little things, the quiet moments, just the two of us, discovering what it means to be married. And I want to tell you how that night unfolded from my perspective. It's funny how quickly everything can blur, the ceremony, the vows, the reception, all of it. It felt like we were swept up in this whirlwind of celebration, surrounded by family, friends, and love. But the moment we stepped into that car after the reception, something shifted. I felt like I could finally breathe. It was just us. No more guests. No more plans. We were finally alone. The world outside no longer mattered. It was just him and me, together in this intimate space that belonged only to us. Honestly, I don't think I've ever felt my heart race the way it did in that moment. I mean, I knew what was coming, but at the same time, I didn't know it all. We had spent so much time focusing on the wedding itself, but now we were stepping into this entirely new chapter together. As a married couple, it felt so surreal. The thought that we were starting a life together, in every sense of the word, was almost too big to grasp. But in that moment, it felt like everything was falling perfectly into place. We arrived at the hotel, and I remember the exact feeling of stepping out of that car. It was like walking into a different world. There was this sense of peace in the air, almost like everything was waiting for us. The room was dimly lit, the soft glow of candles casting shadows on the walls, and I could hear the quiet hum of a city outside. The room was ours, and the only thing that mattered was that it was our first night as husband and wife. I could feel the energy between us shift. There was a palpable excitement in the air, and it wasn't just about what was about to happen. It was about the weight of this new beginning. We were here, together, starting this journey. We didn't rush. Not at all. We just stood there for a moment, taking it all in. The bed looked inviting, but I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just about the physical. There was something deeper, something emotional, something real. We both knew it. There was no need for words. I could see the look in his eyes, this mix of tenderness and vulnerability. He was just as nervous as I was, but it didn't feel like a moment of fear. It felt like a shared, beautiful uncertainty. We sat on the bed, just talking, laughing a little. I think we were both so relieved that everything was over, that the stress of the day was behind us. But there was something else too, something unspoken. We both knew that this was a moment we would never forget. The first night, the beginning of a new chapter. I could feel it in the air. It wasn't just about what was going to happen next, it was about what was already happening. I had never felt more connected to him than I did in that moment. It was a quiet intimacy, a bond that didn't need to be explained, it just was. We didn't have to rush, you know? Everything slowed down, and for the first time in a long while, there was no pressure. No expectations. Just us. And I remember feeling this overwhelming sense of gratitude. Gratitude for everything that had led us here. For the love, the laughter, and even the struggles we'd faced together. It had all brought us to this moment, and I could see it in his eyes too. The same gratitude, the same deep, quiet understanding that this moment, this night, was something we would carry with us forever. It was funny. As much as we had prepared ourselves for the wedding day, this night felt like the real beginning. I think that's when I realized something. The intimacy we shared that night wasn't just about the physical closeness. It was about opening up to each other in a new way. No distractions. No worries. Just trust. And I think, for me, that was the most romantic thing of all. We didn't need to do anything spectacular. We just needed to be there for each other, to listen, to be vulnerable. And that was enough. Then it happened. Our first kiss as a married couple. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't like something out of a movie. It was soft, tentative at first, like we were still learning each other in this new way. His hands gently brushed my cheek, and I could feel the warmth of his touch. I closed my eyes as our lips met, and for a brief moment, time seemed to stop. It wasn't just a kiss. It was a promise that we would continue to choose each other every single day. A promise that no matter what came our way, we would face it together. As I kissed him back, I could feel my heart swell with love, with trust, and with this sense of home. And in that moment, everything else faded away. I think that's when it hit me, that this night wasn't just about the physical closeness we would share. It was about something deeper, something that words couldn't capture. It was about building a life together, one moment at a time. And that first kiss, well, it was the start of something we would continue to build for the rest of our lives. It was tender, slow, but full of everything we had been through to get to that point. Every moment that had led us to this day was in that kiss. Every laugh, every fight, every moment of joy. And it was perfect. I remember pulling back from the kiss, just looking at him. There was no rush. There was no need to hurry. We both knew that the night was ours, to shape as we wanted. And that feeling, the feeling of being completely present with each other, was unlike anything I had ever experienced. We didn't have to be perfect. There were no scripts, no expectations. Just us, figuring out what it meant to be husband and wife. It was in those quiet moments between words, those gentle touches, those stolen glances that the real magic happened. As the night went on, it was like time slowed down. We weren't in a hurry to go anywhere or do anything. It wasn't about perfection. It wasn't about meeting some expectation. It was about finding comfort in each other's presence. It was about building emotional intimacy, the kind that doesn't come from grand gestures, but from quiet moments where you can just be. We didn't rush into anything. We took our time, savoring the connection we were building. Each touch, each look, was more meaningful than any rushed act could have ever been. I think that's the true beauty of a relationship. It's not about the big, flashy moments. It's about the small, quiet moments of connection. When you feel seen. When you feel heard. When you share parts of yourself that no one else gets to see. That night wasn't flawless, but it was real. It was ours. And that's what made it perfect. We didn't need anything else. Just each other. So I want to ask you, have you ever experienced something like that? A night where everything just felt right, even though everything was so new? If you're married or in a relationship, what was your first night like? What did it feel like to cross that threshold and start something new together? I'd love to hear your stories. So drop a comment below. And if you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We've got more stories about love, connection, and the little moments that make all the difference. You won't want to miss what's coming next. That was our first night. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. It was beautiful, and it was ours. And I think that's what makes every first night special. The connection, the trust, and the bond that you share. It's not about the perfect moments you might imagine. It's about the love you build, step by step, together. So if you enjoyed hearing my story, make sure to like, comment, and of course, subscribe. We've got more stories, more love advice, and more moments of vulnerability to share with you. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a story. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time.